Well, this is the first chapter where we really get a chance to see some of the zombie generals in action, and this character Jigoro of the Wind reminds me a lot of Zoro.
One Piece, chapter 452, Jigoro of the Wind.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, and I'm here to bring you another review on the awesome and terrifying and horrifying and now minus Sanji and Zoro tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter, of course, saw us with, we saw and explored a bit of Perona's Wonder Garden and kind of were left hanging with, with Usopp, Nami, and Chopper having been surrounded by a bunch of weird, magical, mystical sort of things that look like they're an amalgamation of something from like a Disney movie and like a fucking nightmare, you know? So definitely very interesting stuff. And then of course Luffy and his group at the end we wound up finding out that they are now missing not only Sanji, who usually pulls the disappearing act, but Zoro as well. And so it's now just Frankie, Luffy, and Robin walking around with this wall-mounted pig that talks, of course, this zombie pig, and trying to get directions through Dr. Hogback's evil Castle of Wonders. So anyway, that's how things left off. This chapter, it's actually kind of nice. It focuses solely on Luffy and his group. We don't see Nami and Usopp, but all that kind of just left us hanging. So obviously, in the big scheme of things, when this was, this chapter came out 4, 5, 6 years ago, obviously it was kind of meant to leave you as a cliffhanger for not just 1, but at least 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll wind up seeing them in the next chapter. But anyway, getting to this chapter at hand, we see Luffy and company walking around, and Luffy winds up, he has on this this suit of armor, and what I really liked was this interaction between him and Frankie. Frankie's like, what is it with you, you idiot? Basically putting him down, like he's goofing around for putting on the suit of armor, and Luffy's like, what? It's every man's dream to wear a suit of armor. He's like, what, did you forget when you became metal and cyborg, Did you forget? Did your heart become cold and this, that? And Frankie says, oh, you're right. It is every man's dream. I'm so sorry to have such a cold iron heart. And for me, it was kind of a funny throwback to almost like a Wizard of Oz type thing, like the Tin Man. The Tin Man obviously doesn't have a heart because he's made of tin and everything like that. So it was definitely just a fun little kind of thing that was thrown in there that I really enjoyed. So as they wind up going and moving through Dr. Hogback's castle, they wind up coming upon, they're still being taunted, of course, by the zombie pig, right? They wind up going and coming upon this this big open room that they kind of say is, it almost looks like a coliseum to them, right? And this suit of armor, this living suit of armor, albeit, winds up dropping down from on the wall there, and Frankie narrowly escapes getting stabbed by this guy in his sword, right? And this suit of armor's got spears sticking out of it and everything else, and Frankie goes and he nails it a couple times, but doesn't really do much to it. It just keeps getting back up. And, they're thinking, obviously, it must be possessed. It must be something, not like the regular zombies, because this thing is still, it's got these spears sticking out of it and everything else. Anyway, we wind up getting a little bit of banter, I guess you would say, a little bit of narration from the talking zombie pig, and then he goes on and on about how the zombie generals, about how you've got a pirate so and so and a pistolier and a general and a samurai and all these different things. And basically, these were people that, when they were alive, they were great in their respective areas or countries or areas of expertise, so to speak. So you're basically looking at it as like these are like mini bosses or almost like bosses. He's trying to go and trump them up to be like, yeah, these guys are on the next level, right? So we wind up getting, like I said, again, a little bit of that going on over here. We're also introduced to, as they start getting attacked by other characters, we're introduced to this character that winds up doing the 36-pound Phoenix, which is obviously a move that Zoro uses. And then first I was thinking, well, maybe this guy is Zoro, because now remember, Sanji, obviously some type of soul or whatever of his got put into that penguin, because he's talking about not wanting to kick women or hit women and everything else. This one goes and talks about, a scar on a back is a swordsman's shame, and it's exactly something that, that way back when Zoro fought Mihawk back on the Baratie, that he said. And but this is this zombified guy, and he's Jigoro of the Wind is what he's actually formerly introduced as. And there's this whole laundry list of things that he was so and so. He cut through 7,000 pirates to get to and save his family. Died at the age of 59. So this guy is clearly not Zoro, but it just made me feel like it was the embodiment of Zoro, because he's very similar, and even Luffy calls him Zoro a couple of times, right? Well, anyway, this motley crew of zombie generals who are actually pretty cool looking. I've got to admit. I mean, they're pretty impressive looking over here. And we've got the whole gang came out to play over here. And again, you've got your kind of taller, slender one. You've got your giant beast tank-like looking one, all that sort of thing. It looks like basically looks like an MMO raiding party in World of Warcraft. Because you've got, or Diablo or something like that. You've got your mage-looking dude, you've got your pistolier, you've got your this sort of big tank weapons expert. Very cool though, and again, I mentioned this in the last chapter. I really enjoy the character designs and Oda, even some of these throwaway characters, and I call them throwaway because you may only see them for a couple pages in a chapter or two. The character designs are really nice. They really are. There's really a lot of thought and planning that you can tell goes into these character designs. Can't speak enough about that. But basically, as they progress through over here, they decide that they got to go and they got to make a run for it to get to the other side of the coliseum. And this is after the pig winds up actually getting away from him, and then kind of taunts him as he's going and leaving and going away. They try to go the way that the pig is going, but all of a sudden there's this zombie wall. It's a wall that appears and poof, just appears in front of them. So they all go in there, they decide they're going to make a run for it, they're just going to fight through everybody and then meet on the other side. On the other side, Robin and Frankie wind up coming out, but there's no Luffy. And Frankie's like, if he wasn't, he's wearing a suit of armor, so he looks like all the other damn, all these other zombie-toting or zombie generals that are wearing suits of armor. I can't tell which one's him. Luffy's not there. They're freaking out. They wind up going and seeing coming by on this chain overhead with like a coffin hanging from it, and they hear who they think to be is Luffy, and they're, hey, let me out, this and that, and they're going, what the heck, and Frankie's going to go and try to shoot it down. Before they can do it, though, this bad boy appears over here. Look at this guy. Taralin, Zombie General Spider Monkey. Huge dude, because then when you go and you actually see a perspective shot of him, I mean, you look at that, how small they look compared to this giant friggin' thing. And I know that size in a lot of ways doesn't matter, especially in One Piece, because there's all these different crazy size differentials, and there's the old saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. But I don't like spiders to begin with, and this big-ass spider monkey, Taralin, gonna go and stop them. And then somebody winds up saying, too, when Frankie's like, is that him in there? And they're like, don't worry about it. You'll eventually get yours. You'll eventually see what the coffins are all about and everything. Because I'm a little curious, too, to see what they do with people, where they take them off, and then what actually happens to them. Keep in mind now that Nami, Usopp, and Chopper were being transported in a coffin, we presume, to go to Gecko Moria. And then I don't know what happens after that. What kind of dark ritual or what takes place. I'm definitely curious about that. The chapter winds up ending off right there, though, as they basically say, listen, you got me in front of you, you get the zombies coming up behind you, you better concentrate on the matter at hand, right? But that's how the chapter ends off over here. My chapter question for you, though, brothers and sisters, is ultimately, what do you think? I mean, obviously, there's many of you have gone through Thriller Bark, so this question's not really going to be pertain to you as much, but it goes back to what I was asking just a minute ago about what do you think happens when these characters disappear? And then the only thing we've really seen so far is that it looks like Sanji is now like a penguin. That's what it seems like anyway. I don't know. But let's get some juices flowing here, some creative juices flowing. What do you think actually takes place? What do you think that Gecko Moria or Absalom or whoever's running the show with this stuff, with these rituals, what do you think happens to make them turn into these zombies or whatever the case is, We saw a little bit of it with Dr. Hogback's laboratory, but that kind of makes me think more like a Frankenstein type thing, and I think that's more like with the numbered ones that he brings back to life and stitches back together. So I'm trying to figure out what they do. They transfer souls. What? Let me know what your answer is to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. I'd like to thank you for watching and encourage you to check out my other channels and follow me on Facebook and Twitter as well.